this because I know that this is something that you really wanted to get involved in in the last few months. So what's your biggest takeaway so far, Peter?
We done over 30 refurb last year, sometimes changing complete flooring, obviously in rent-to-rent apartments, and this is a huge refurb work. Before we go there, what the biggest learning, just one thing, when we present
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
How are we all? Peter and Istvan here, Cashflow Property, 7:30 on a Tuesday. We're doing something a little bit special this evening, guys. So hopefully you get to see that we are at one of our sites. So we thought we'd come on site and talk a little bit about deal packaging and what is actually involved in deal packaging, because sometimes it's a bit misunderstood on what you need to do as a deal packager. But we've got a really good subject here who can tell you a lot about what deal packaging is all about. And we can tell you a little bit more about this project as well and how that actually works with deal packaging itself. So Peter, good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening. I'm okay. You, Istvan?
Yeah,
okay.
Good,
and you guys, I hope you're all good. Yes, we choose this subject and we're going to choose it a lot of times in the future because this is one of the, definitely my favorite, but a lot of people I know, even Istvan likes more and more deal packaging. And I know a lot of other people as well love this strategy. It's not just about, it is about helping others, helping other people, making good cash flow, investing none of your own money, if you like, in a way of you can literally start it with very limited funds and you can generate a good cash flow for yourself. And most importantly, you can learn a lot along the way while you're helping other people, while you're arranging the works. Actually, you learn everything about property. And as you build up your own cash flow, you can invest it in your deals, whether it's rent to rent, whether it's purchase, whether it's BR, whatever. You can deal packaging, you can package any deals. So whether it's rent to rent, service accommodation, HMO, any deals can be packaged to investors. And as I said, building up cash flow and learning as well is two very important pillar of the deal packaging. That's why I love it. That's why I love so much.
I know you do. And certainly that's something that helped you massively in terms of building up your own business. So, and I think it's a good stepping stone to property for a lot of people because, like you just said, I think no money down as much as possible. Deal packaging is where it's really starting. So for those of you who are not familiar with it, Peter started his journey with rent-to-rent serviced accommodation, packaging, sourcing deals for investors, and setting up and running those serviced accommodation units for those investors. So obviously it worked very well for him. And I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who are watching who are also doing similar things. Or if not, if this is something that you want to do, just stick your comments down and let us know if you want to know more about this. So, but today we're here at a project that is again, it's a project that was sourced for an investor and packaged. So what do we do with this project, Peter? So what makes this a packaged project?
Yes, so Istvan mentioned very rightly, we started our business with packaging only rent-to-rent service accommodation deals to investors. But as we're growing and as we grow, obviously, we started to package other deals last year, rent-to-rent HMOs and then buy-to-lets, BRR type of these HMO conversions. This particular project is a BRR to buy-to-let project. It was a cash purchase. It's going to be refinanced in a year because there's investors, overseas investors. So generally speaking, you want to refinance your property within 6 months. This property will be refinanced around 12 months. Obviously, when you packaging deals where is purchase get involved, first of all, you have a compliance part. So you're going to need the anti-money laundering number from HMRC. Also some online training, preferably as well, in order to understand what anti-money laundering means. Because once purchasing gets involved especially if it's overseas investor, even UK-based investors, then there is a compliance part of the whole things as well. And also packaging rent easier in a way of, obviously there's no purchase involved. It's a quick process. There is no conveyancing, there is no surveyors and all this stuff. Packaging rent-to-rent is an easier and quicker way to grow your business. When it comes to packaging a buy-to-let deal or HMO conversion deal, you need to really understand to find the discounted prices properties. So the properties needs adding value, needs a good refurb. I always saying to everyone, deal packaging is not just about sourcing and packaging deals to investors, but also it's about seeing the opportunity that others don't. What I mean by that, when you're searching for properties for your investors, most of the people only see whether it's discounted price or whether it's not. And especially on the current market, sometimes very, very hard to find discounted price property, let's say below market properties, B&B properties, whatever we call it. Sometimes it's extremely difficult, but a good deal packager can do in this case. That's how we can still source this. Of course, we like discounts, and of course we want discounts, but we can use a number of different no money down, you can name it no money down, or other strategies like lease options or assisted sales. So we have a vendor finance, a lot of strategy we can use because we have all the skills, because we need to learn, because a deal packager needs to know about all these strategies. And we see the opportunity in the property. Once we view the property like a normal, let's say, home buyer, first-time buyer, they only see, oh, I really love this property, I want to buy it myself. They don't think about too much discount. They don't think about what the property can do, what we can do with the property. And even if we haven't got too much discount, we know if there is a potential, the good refurb, adding value, maybe do some changes, putting a partition wall, or maybe extend the property, back extension, side extension, so we can change the layout inside, and we can add value, and we can increase the end of value. By this way, we're making money for our investors. Even if the property wasn't B&B property, we can still make money for our investors, for ourselves.
Well, I think it's fair to say that this particular project where we are at has got plenty of potential. I think, for those of you who watched a video that Peter and myself did a few weeks ago, we did a walkthrough. There's certainly lots of work to be done. So as you can see behind me, there's, things have been pulled off the walls. We've certainly got going, the builders have got going in the last week or so, making sure that, the project is now steaming ahead as much as possible. So probably towards the end of this video, we will do a little bit of a walkthrough just to show you guys exactly what we've done. But just to sort of build on what you said as well, Peter. So, obviously the whole packaging side of it is finding the value, and also not just finding the value and, finding properties that need refurb, but once you actually got the keys to the house. I think this was a really good example of this property where we have come across lots of things as we were doing the planning phase. You think that the particular room needs X amount of work, and until you actually start looking into the detail, you don't realize how much more work perhaps it needs. So we have done an extensive piece of exercise where we actually have gone through every single room, top to bottom, scoped out what needs to be done, sat down with the builders and worked out what it's going to cost to do. But also with the investors, we had a conversation with the investors to make sure that they are fully on board and understand what needs to happen to the property. Now, there came a time where we had to make some choices. And I think that's another thing that people need to understand, that everybody wants to put the best looking house on Facebook when they're doing pictures. It all needs to be singing and dancing. But at the same time, you have to remember that you're doing this for a reason. And it's whatever the purpose of that property is. So this one will be a buy-to-let property for a family. So it has to hit the right standards, but it also have to meet the criteria of the investor who's putting the money in as well. So you can't just go out and spend all the money in the world because you want to make sure that you can put the best pictures on social media, make that property look the best. You have to make sure that you actually keep your investors happy and also deliver the right quality at the end of the project. So this is what we've done with this one. So certainly plenty of challenges so far, Peter. I think it's fair to say that it hasn't been plain sailing, but it's been brilliant learning, and it's been great experience so far. So what's your thinking on this? Because I know that this is something that you really wanted to get involved in in the last few months. So what's your biggest takeaway so far, Peter?
We done over 30 refurb last year. Sometimes changing complete flooring, obviously, rent-to-rent apartments, and this is a huge refurb work. Before we go there, what the biggest learning? Just one thing. When we presented this deal to our investors, we presented two different strategies we can use. A bit more expensive one for make it HMO, because we see straight away where we could take the chimney breast out and all this stuff and make more rooms and changing the layout completely, turning around the stairs and all this stuff. So we would have made a 4-bed all-en-suite HMO as well, and we left it with the investor to make their own decision. But we would never able to present this and the estimated numbers just after a 5 minutes viewing, if we haven't got a knowledge and the experience to know exactly what we're going to offer to our investors. So this was one of the, and also I wanted to do other things, very important thing. This was a discounted property. So even though we see the opportunity, a lot of opportunity, but we also picked it up at a very good price. 125 was our purchase price. We literally stormed into ahead of everyone in an open auction and pre-auction offer and pick up the property. And the end value is going to be around 175, 180. We could be maybe 185 as well. And about the costs, if I can say a couple of things about the costs, it started
plenty to say about it.
Yeah, plenty to say about. So the biggest learning, in the same time, the biggest learning about estimating the refurb costs in advance as much as you can estimate. You cannot estimate the exact numbers. You can never give the exact numbers after 5 minutes viewing when you present the deal to investors, but you can have a rough idea. When you have a good team in place and the good experience, you can have a rough idea what the kind of project going to cost. Because when you're presenting a deal to investors and you say 5-10 grand for a refurb like this, investors are going to take you seriously and you're going to find yourself in a lot of trouble. So we estimated around between 20 and 25 around. That was our estimated. Maybe even 30. If it's HMO conversion, even more. And to be honest, first quotes came very, very high, very, very, very high. But because of the very, very tight tender pack, which is thanks to Istvan, he put a very, very detailed tender pack together for a builder team, and we understand. So before we even sent any documentation to the builders for quotes, we knew exactly what needs to be changed and what we think needs to be changed, and every very detailed tender pack Istvan put together. And then once they came back with the quotes, we selected those we don't want to work because of the high, and those came back even around 35, even the one we chose, Len. He's a really good guy, and I think we're going to do all the other projects as well. So eventually we managed, because we're working with other people as well. We have a lot of friends in property, and a couple of them came, and even they advise as well. A lot of very, very useful information. So everybody put their head together, and actually we managed to save another 10 grand, first 5 and other 5. So we're going to end up around 25 on this refurb work. And because of this buy to let, it has to be nice to get tenants easily, but also we must remember we don't need to change everything, absolutely completely everything. It's not going to be we who are living here, and not going to be our investors who are living here. So something can stay, just a bit reconditioned, just a bit repaired, and just a bit repainted. So we don't need to rip everything and change everything. We saved a lot of money on fixing things, repainting things. In some cases, we bought second-hand. We buy second-hand things as well in very, very, very good condition. Thousands of tons we saved on this, and the investors were very happy.
And I think it's a really important point, because I think I mentioned it earlier that it's always easy to go down the road of making a house all singing and dancing. But we have spoken about this many times when we spoke about rent to rent. but this is true for when you're buying a buy-to-let property as well. You do need to cater for your actual target market. So there's no point you putting in gold taps in your bathroom when your tenant's only going to pay you £500 a month. You're never going to make your money back. So when you make these choices in terms of what is actually worthwhile spending on, then you have to sort of have the target market, the end market in your mind. Without that, you can easily overspend. And unfortunately, you never get that money back, because some houses in some areas will never get the capital appreciation that will potentially hide some of those initial overspends. If you're in an area where capital appreciation doesn't exist or very minimal, then you need to look after your cash flow. And the only way to look after your cash flow is if you get your spending right at the start. Then you can make the right amount of return on your investment, yields, etc. So all those really important key indicators whether a deal is a good deal or not. So that's really I guess most.
So knowing before you even go there to present a deal to your investors, when you present it, whether it's buy-to-let for HMO, you need to make sure that property, that location going to work for that purpose. So if it's a very, very bad area, obviously you don't want to take your investors. But if some area works better for, let's say, HMO, some area works better for buy-to-let, and you need to know also the rent prices on that area, because without getting the rent price, you're not going to be able to give the exact yield and the exact return on investment to your investors, which could cause problems as well. That's why it's so important, and we wanted to tune in today, and we're going to tune in a lot of times as well to raise deep packaging. It's amazing strategy. When you're starting with zero money, or even if you have a lot of money and you have connection, I'm going to still use it all my life, deep packaging, because I love it. I love to work with people. I love to help people, and I love the whole business and looking at their investors and also landlords as well. But generally speaking, when it comes like this, you also need to understand not just the tenant type you're going to target, because it's going to determine the amount of money, return on investment, but also the best, at least for me, we have our own letting agency, in-house letting agency. So I know exactly we will able to find the tenants for our investors, and we know exactly the property will be very nice, and we're going to be able to attract good paying tenants. We know exactly how much we can charge, but we also know we don't need to change everything just to get those tenants, because the tenant demand is this area, it's very high. So we're gonna, as long as it's gonna look like nice and fresh, and most of the things is changed anyway, we're gonna find easily tenants, even on a high price.
Absolutely, it just echoes what I mentioned earlier. Cater to your target market, and then you'll be fine. Like I say, you can put in those gold taps if you want to into your bathrooms and your kitchen, but it may just be stolen by your first tenant, so I don't think it might be worth it. So
so you need to think about, I just found very like to mention, it's an investment, it's a business for your investors as well. So it's a business. You need to save as much money you can in order for them to make a better return on their money, and obviously it's better if you can do the whole service from start till the end. The reason why I'm saying this, because if you start to outsource, let's say, this part for project management, which we do now, at the moment, we are a part of the phase of the project management. So obviously sourcing the deals, one. Second, you're presenting your deal, obviously with all your analyze and everything like a good deal packager does. And third one, once your investors say they're happy to go, you present the offer to the agent, to the landlord. And then four, you're making sure you had your investor hands and helping through arranging solicitors, conveyancing, a survey and everything, all the contract tight and strict, so helping them all the way through. And then this is a phase. Now we are managing the project, but first you need to put the tender together to the builder. So we need to estimate the works and then getting the quotes for builders. And this is the phase when we're actually doing the project management itself. So we're coming every day, every second day, checking how the work is going. We schedule the pay, let's say structure, how the payment is going to be. So once phase completed, we get the investors make the payment. It's also very important because we don't want to go ahead with payments and much less work to be competent, because then problems can arise, arguments can arise, and also signing the right documents.
Absolutely. So that's another thing that people tend to overlook a little, and that's something that you shouldn't overlook. Having the right documentation in place is also really crucial. So it's something that I've learned over the last couple of years. You have to cover yourself, guys. So, you know, you're responsible for delivering this project for your investors. So you make sure you've got everything in place. So preparation is super important. So with anything in life, really, if you want to be successful, you need to prepare. And, you know, a bit of due diligence is a word that often is bantered around in the property world, has never gone amiss. You know, it's certainly really important. And of course, when it comes to a project like this, definitely, absolutely 100% important. So I just want to say thank you, Rosemary. You are most welcome. So I'm glad you enjoyed the content. So if there's any questions on what you're seeing so far, what you're hearing, just give us a shout and we'll answer it. So Peter, should we do a quick sort of walk around?
Absolutely.
Does anybody like to see
I can't wait to do that.
Right. We won't do the whole house because obviously it's getting a little bit dark.
Yeah.
I might fall off the stairs and I'll break my neck, which I don't want to do. So Peter, what I'll do is I'll hand these two over to you so we get a little bit of a light steel with us, I think. Sorry, guys. If you could grab that, that'd be great. And then we do walking. Right. So for those of you who have seen the project, so we are in the lounge. There's Peter holding the light for me. So what we have here is essentially the lounge. So as you can see, we had 4 layers of wallpaper on the walls. So 4 layers of wallpaper, and that's all being stripped off. Sorry. So 4 layers of wallpaper, as you can imagine, that's probably one for every decade. So you know they weren't shy on putting more wallpaper on. We had a fireplace here, which has now been ripped out. So we were considering, as Peter mentioned earlier, taking that out if we were to make this an HMO, because obviously that is an extra space that you could utilize in an HMO. But because it's going to be a family home, it's no longer needed. So we're not going to take it out now. And this place is quite generous when it came to fireplaces because we have another one here. So you can see this one, hopefully you can see as well, guys. So this was one of those that actually heated the hot water as well. So very interesting system. As you can see, the pipes all coming out there. I don't know if you can see it. So all the pipes are coming out and going up through the ceiling and supplying the water for the rest of the house. So that's a interesting feature of the house. Here's Peter. Where are you? There you are. Trying to follow me. And we've got the kitchen as well, which is completely being ripped out as well, by the sink, just so we can still utilize the water. So sorry guys, it's getting a little bit dark now, so you know, we're not really that good at showing you what's going on. So so we won't go upstairs now, but just a quick taster of how the project has progressed over the last few weeks since you last seen it. Lots more to come, obviously. With the rip out sort of taking place now. Come and join back in, Peter. Rip out now taking place. It's about putting it back together after this. So a lot of that is going to start in the next couple of days, and that's really the exciting part. You know, ripping out is actually quite effective. You know, it's a lot can happen in a short space of time, so it's a very visual because you come in and all of a sudden it's a completely different place. Putting it back together, putting it back together takes a bit longer. So I think we've got about 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, 4 or 5 weeks it will be completed, and it's also not just the quality, but also the speed of the work we're doing this. And even before we completed, even before it's going to be completed, we already have tenants lined up. So investors are going to be very, very happy to welcome the first tenants. Hopefully not going to waste too much time and they can make money straight away, because this is what a good deal packager does as well. Not just on a YouTube videos, because I absolutely true. We've done a couple of videos and we will do as well, because I want to raise as well voice. Deal packaging is a great business and you can literally make money from your laptop. That's absolutely true. But there are other things as well. We need to understand if you want to run a good deal packaging company, and whilst you're growing and packaging number of different strategies, you definitely need a good team in place and all this stuff. But as always, guys, we're here with a lot of content every Tuesday, every Sunday. If you join in a group, we have courses on our website, and also we always have our masterminds as well. You can join, you can access to all and much more deep information, and even more contacts and everything else as well, because we always need to have it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think with that, we will wrap this up. So thank you guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Lots of content on gear packaging. Thank you, Peter, for your inputs. It's been brilliant. And hopefully you liked a little walk around of the property as well. So like I say, it's getting a little bit dark. So it's probably, we'll get a bit more light, I think, in the next couple of months. So we'll probably be able to do these later lives with a lot more light.
Yeah.
But thanks for tuning in. We will sign off now, and we will see you guys hopefully next week. Thanks again. See you guys all.